All right. So our final review of the day is going to be for Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. The Final Reckoning here is slated to be, right as of now, the last Mission Impossible movie. The Mission Impossible franchise, which started all the way 29 years ago, that this franchise started here with the very first Mission Impossible there, starring Tom Cruise as the Ethan Hunt there, the leader there, the agent, a part of the IMF, the Impossible Mission Force, and he usually has his crew, his team there that he's insanely dedicated and loyal to. Why they have fought numerous of different terrorists, different world-threatening events. But here in these two films, these last two films here, which was you had Dead Reckoning Part One, which this was supposed to be Part Two, but they were like, oh, maybe we shouldn't call it Part One because Part Ones of things don't really sell very well. So we got to call it a new name. So that's where the Final Reckoning comes in here. Um, where they're up against something called the Entity, this AI system here that is threatening all of civilization as we know it. They're controlling all the nuclear weapons of each country there. You know, they are all their fingers on the trigger there, and it's only one man can stop this thing. One man and his team, and that is Ethan Hunt there and the IMF there. Yes, so that's what you have here. I liked Reckoning. I think Reckoning is out of seeing all these movies, it's not one of the better ones, but it's
Mhm.
still good. I don't think it's the worst Mission Impossible movie, but I think the big criticism about it is that it's a part one, so it's not really a full, complete story. So it's hard to really judge it there. And this is, like I said, slated to be the epic conclusion of these movies here with all these characters that we've spent over, 2 decades with now. And you have Tom Cruise, who is, one of the last big movie stars that we have in the business
Mhm.
there. And he's all about keeping movies alive, keeping film alive, cinema, these crazy set pieces and stunts that he does with these movies here. And there's
Mhm.
a couple of
Yep,
crazy big
or,
set
this franchise is basically Tom Cruise attempting to unalive himself for our entertainment.
Yeah. Tom Cruise, here hanging off planes. He's, you know what I mean? He's really going to the depths of the ocean there.
Oh,
He's doing
yeah.
all this stuff. So yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, he's
not just the depths of the ocean, the Arctic.
Arctic. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Tom Cruise, man, crazy guy. Yeah. So I'm gonna go around and get you guys' thoughts on this movie. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Nick, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so with any, final chapter, there's gonna be a lot of pressure and a lot of pressure to live up to and end the story in an epic fashion, especially befitting a franchise like Mission Impossible. And it would have been really cool, but the movie spends almost the first 30 minutes of it just flashing back to all of the other movies, which I can, see some merit in, but it feels like the movie relies on that so much. And it feels like whereas, even the later years with the starting from Ghost Protocol where the movies became about okay, what crazy stunt can we do to one up ourselves from the last movie? Where the movie those stunts felt like they had context and did a good job of pushing a story. Here it feels the opposite, where the story is just barely written around the crazy stunts that we can get Tom Cruise to do.
Mm, interesting.
However, those stunts are fucking awesome. Especially like this whole set piece with the submarine and what we talk about so much with great action or great set pieces. It's like trying to find ways to, keep it grounded and relevant, but also keeping finding ways to escalate the tension in it, which the movie is fantastic at doing.
Yeah. I'm just watching the trailer. Look, that wasn't in the trailer. Like, he's chasing off the plane, and then also
Nope.
that scene with underwater where somebody comes down and kisses. That wasn't also in that wasn't in the movie. I just noticed that.
Nope.
Yeah. Dusk. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think the first hour of having a lot of repeating to the original movie is it's like I get it, but it did take away from the feel of the movie, especially if this is a part two. You've been building
Mhm.
up to this point. You want to really get into the action and say, "Hey, remember this? Well, this is this, and remember this
Mhm.
person? They helped in this." And like,
Yeah,
I
it's
got
like
it.
it's like at the very last movie trying to tie in all of the other movies
Mhm.
together like they were all one cohesive story when at least
Yeah.
with the first read that was explicitly not the real
Oh yeah,
purpose
not at
behind it.
all.
It was meant to be like this franchise where every director was brought in to bring their own unique spin of it. That's why,
Mhm.
1, 2 and 3 feel so different from Ghost Protocol.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, again, we can't say enough how much Tom Cruise is maybe the last proper movie star, and just how much he's willing to kill himself for our entertainment. And boy, howdy, there are just some great moments where I'm just like, yeah, this is what films were made for. This
Mhm.
crazy shit
Yeah,
is
it's
what
like
films were made for.
I was with it for the entire first act. I just wish that the screenplay was
Mhm.
stronger because
I agree
the
wholeheartedly.
entire opening, the opening mission brief, like so many of these movies start with, we're told that, it's like this entity is like starting to take over the world. It's just feeding people
It's like,
disinformation.
yeah, I
It's
saw
like
the last
there's
movie.
like this cult that's like started to form around it.
I
And
did
it's
see it in
like
IMAX.
that could be really cool if you took time to explore any of that. But this movie is so focused on getting to the next stunt, and it has so many characters that most of the scenes of dialogue are people build just sitting in a room talking, which the first act mostly consists of. It doesn't get a chance to show any of it. We're just told the devastation that this the entity can cause.
Mm, yeah.
Mhm.
And to Hunter's point, yes, I did see it in IMAX, and I think that it is a movie you should, if you have the ability to see it in IMAX. I think you should because of all the great
It's
action
well
set
worth
pieces.
it.
It is worth the money to spend the extra money to see it in IMAX if you can
Oh,
to pay the
especially that
six.
plane scene.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah, that shit was awesome.
I was gripping my seat.
yeah. And this is a long movie. This movie's close to 3 hours.
Yeah,
This is close
it
to a
it
3 hour
so
movie.
going with an empty bladder.
I did not notice the runtime of it, but I did think it was a little like, okay, this is, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? I could see what people go like, maybe wrap this up a little bit there, it being close to 3 hours there. I see what you're saying about the kind of plot of this. Like, this is the second part of it. And it does harken back to a lot of it's a lot of flashbacks to the last Mission Impossible movie, especially like the first one and the early ones there of it. Because it is, like I said, pitched as like this is the grand finale of these movies here. And if you are a big Mission Impossible fan, if you've been following these movies since then, it is almost like a love letter to it. If you've been following this for as long as as well, these movies for that long. Um, and I will say the Mission Impossible movies here have never been known for their great villains. Like, you had Philip Seymour Hoffman in the third
Mhm.
one, but really it's never
Yeah,
been known for that.
it's like the two, I'd say like out of 8 movies, I think there's like 4 actually decent villains. I think John Boyton, the first one, is really good. I love Philip Seymour Hoffman. He's the standout. And I really like Solomon Lane from part 5 and 6.
Mm. And in this one, the villain being the entity, it feels like more fighting a concept, an
Mhm.
idea of something rather than an actual villain of it.
Mhm.
And because a lot of this movie is like, it's man versus machine, the oldest, tale in time there. Can humanity band together to fight this machine? You know what I mean? Throw away country, throw away, everything and to stand together against it. So it's almost like you really feel like, Tom Cruise is really like fighting AI. Like, he's really like, man, I'm tired of this AI shit. You know what I mean? I saw a Hayao Miyazaki Chat GPT meme and I got pissed off. I'm tired of this shit, and he's fighting back against it. So you kind of got that in. It's not that interesting there. Finding that much there, I would say. You do have Isaiah Morales
Yeah,
there.
it's S.I. Morales, who was, the you know the entity's liaison into the real world.
He's good. I mean, he's good at line delivery, but he's
Mhm.
not that memorable as a villain there. I
Oh,
mean, he
you could
Yeah.
have had any other actor play this character, and nothing would have changed.
I mean, he's
Mhm.
great at coming out of shadows and saying things and dipping back into the shadows and doing things like that and being a son of a bitch. He's good at that, but it's not really that memorable performance and not that.
It's like even towards the
Yeah.
third act, like during the plane sequence, it's like he does a lot more scenery chewing, which feels kind of out of character for what we've seen of him from the previous film.
Yeah, you're
Mm.
like, no,
Wait, wait,
you should have killed
where did
them.
all this come from?
Yeah, like what?
Maybe the entity was holding him back in the first movie. That's the
Oh
problem.
my
He was
god,
letting the entity give him dialogue. Now
I
written
haven't
by
assumed
Chat
my true
GPT.
form.
But he's like, now I can go off script now. I don't have to listen to him. And the supporting cast of course, as I mentioned, the team here that you have with this, so you have Haley Atwell, who's returned. She was in the first part, Dead Reckoning. Here, Vin Rames has been with these movies since the first one. Simon Pegg, who he showed up in the third one, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was a character in the third one, and then he
Yeah,
became a series regular.
Yeah,
yeah, Ghost Protocol on.
Yeah, Palm Kimmelteef there. She was also in Dead Reckoning. There, she comes a part of the team. She was also in there. You have also I think he's what, an FBI agent or CIA agent. That
Yeah,
guy.
CIA agent Theo is played by Greg Tarzan Davis, who is there.
That's a cool name, Tarzan Davis. uh,
Tarzan Davis.
yeah. So I like the team in it. I like the team, and then you see Simon Pegg take more of a bigger role in this there, which I kind of liked. How did you like some of the supporting cast in there? And also, you have now Madam President here, Angela Bassett's character, who we first saw in Fallout, where she was the head of the CIA. Now she's president there. What did you think about a lot of supporting cast?
The supporting cast, I think they are very good. Is like everybody in this supporting cast are longtime professional character actors. They know how to give good screen presence. Even the extended cast here, where you have you know President Angela Bassett with her Joint Chiefs of basically like the who's who of great character actors like Holt McCallany, Nick Offerman, Mark Gaddis, Charles Parnell, even like other actors that Ethan Hunt interacts with, like Hannah Waddingham and Tremel Tillman from Severance. It's like they're all great in their small scenes. It's just it feels like their cast in this is so big and the team has gotten so big that there isn't time to spend with any of them as characters or people.
This is like this whole franchise at this point is the thinking man's Fast and the Furious
Mhm.
at this
It's
point.
like Fast and Furious, but with a little bit of real world physics
Yeah,
ish.
and hell amazing
And
stuff.
in this movie, that suspension of disbelief gets
Oh,
damn near pushed to the edge.
it really is. It really is, especially the decompression scenes and all that stuff. I thought I was watching that one shark movie that we saw a little while back, where
Mm.
Jason Statham like, "I'm gonna get outside of this
Oh,
underwater
the
area."
Meg. Oh yeah.
The Meg too. Yeah, it's like, but if I exhale, so the compression, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
Pretty
It
sure it doesn't work like that.
No, I'm pretty sure none of that. The moment you step out of out of that chamber, you're cracked over like an egg.
uh, it is a lot of characters in this, people that kinda show up, again, with the length of this movie, that's also a thing with it, that not everybody gets their chance to
Oh
shine, but I think
yeah,
they have good moments, like Hannah Winningham, who I think, is that the first I think that's the first time I've ever heard her do an American accent, I think.
I
It's the
think
first time that comes to memory, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
okay.
And
yeah,
Tremel Tillman from Severance, who gets to play off of Tom Cruise really well, and he's such a great character actor.
Mhm.
yeah, and that
Oh, we
that
also
was
have we have Shay Wingham as Jasper Briggs.
Oh, no movie. There is no movie that would not be better with more Shea Wiggum.
There, in
yeah,
fact, was not more Shay Wiggum, especially when you find out what his character was. I'm like, oh well, come on, man, you could have made a whole
Oh,
thing on that. And then
mhm,
it's just like, nah, we're just gonna save it to the last
it,
minute.
it feels like it was just added in post to just tie into the first to one of the movies.
Yeah, that
Better.
actually upset me. I'm like, oh, you're gonna do that, especially if you know the
Okay.
context of the original first
That's
movie.
cool. It's like, okay, are you gonna do anything with it?
Nope.
mhm,
Nope. Okay.
Here's a handshake. We cool.
yeah,
You're like, that's it.
yeah,
Especially if you know especially if you know the context of the original movie and the how long, like the original. This is based on the TV series Mission Impossible. The main guy for Mission Impossible, who was replaced by John Voight in the first movie,
Mhm.
uh, he was supposed to reprise his role as the head of IMF in that movie, but when he saw the script and saw that he would be the villain for that movie, he outright refused because he was the hero character in the original. He goes, "I am not going to have my character slandered for your movie."
Slander. Bro, it's a fictional character. Thomas Slander.
No,
Uh,
but like he felt like that was a like Mission Impossible. You may not like recognize it. For a lot of people, that was a really impressive TV series and still held and really held pretty highly. So
Hell,
when
we
the movie
we
came
have
out, you got to look at
yeah,
that from that time.
yeah,
That was a big upset.
friend of the show, Nathan Flynn. I first, met him through his podcast, Mission Impossible, where they would talk about old episodes of Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
mm,
So especially when that first movie came out, the time period it came out,
Mhm.
and that twist being there, and that John Voight playing the character, it was a little more digestible because it wasn't the guy from that series. So a lot of people just kind of went, "Ah, he's just a different name. It's just a name. He's
Mhm.
whatever. He's just some other guy." But
mm.
now that at the very end they've kind of done something with that at the last ditch moment and try to add that in, you're just like, man, why didn't you do something more with that? If you're gonna do it, they're just like, well, this is the last one, last one that we might make, unless a boatload of money gets shoved up on Tom Cruise and they can actually make money off of this. Because I don't know if they will.
Yeah, because I know Dead Reckoning didn't do that well. I know it didn't even make its money back.
Yeah, that was a. They usually do. These
Yeah,
movies really do well, but it's just a
yeah,
mix of timing.
it's it's. I think it was a mix of the time. It was the 3 hour runtime. I'm sure did it no favors, but it's a lot to ask an audience to sit with 3 hours of any movie.
Hmm.
Yeah, and also this movie also has a huge budget on it, just like the part one of it.
3 to 400 million.
We don't hold it for him, so it has to do
Mm.
really, really well there.
It's basically asking for a 700 to 800 million dollar to break even,
Yeah.
probably.
Um, and is this the great conclusion to the Mission Impossible movie? Is something you're looking forward to if you're a
Mhm.
big Mission Impossible fan? If you've followed these movies here, and I've liked them, they start to get really great to me at 3. Is when they
Mhm.
started really great, and
Yes.
ever since then, it's been really good. Um, I think it's solid. I think it's a solid
Mhm.
conclusion. Is it the best it could have been? No, I think because of the issues there, because of the stuff Nick and Dust
Mhm.
mentioned, because I mentioned there, because you do have this, long run time. You have a lot of characters in here. Not of all of them really get a chance to really do much in it. It does spend a lot of time harkening back to the past Mission Impossible movies there of like, you remember this movie, you remember that movie. In that, and again, I think it lends to, again, if you follow the series, yeah, but I think you also, this is this movie. Let's focus on this movie and what we're doing here and not just about all the actions of the past movies. And they do try to, even though they do try to tie it into this movie. Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise, still amazing. Still
Mhm.
amazing there. Great action hero, great lead there. Like I said, movie star. You get why he is a movie star and has been a movie star
Hell,
for many
hell,
decades.
he's not just a movie star. He's the president of movies. Let's be honest.
Yeah, president of movies. There, I would say there. That's a good name. And then Hunter has, does it feel like a finale, or do they kind of go, well, maybe we'll run it back? Well,
I mean, it kind of. I feel like the movie ends on a note where it's like we could make one of these again.
Yeah.
You know, if you
The final
give us
final
some,
reckoning.
yeah,
give us some that cheddar cheese.
it's a
Hmm.
Hollywood franchise movie. It's never
Oh,
really gone.
nothing ends.
That's never going to be a thing where it's a definitive thing with that. But there's always a door open. I'll say that with Hollywood franchise movies for people to come back
Yeah.
or them to do another movie. Um, yeah, I will say the action set pieces in here are amazing. They're the best they've ever been in the series there. The plane sequences we mentioned, the underwater sequence there, that's amazing. I think that looks, especially if you see it on IMAX, looks absolutely fantastic. So that's gorgeous as well. The look and this being done mostly practically, all that adds to it as well, and keeping a lot of these big action movies alive like this, doing things very practically. And I think you have to really appreciate it on that level as well. It's not one of the this doesn't replace my favorite Mission Impossible movie. My favorite Mission Impossible movie is still Fallout.
Mm.
But I still think it's a solid entry. I think it's better than Dead Reckoning. I have to see. I have to go back maybe and watch Dead
Mm.
Reckoning again to see
They
where it
could have
is.
honestly ended it on Fallout, and that would have been fine.
Yeah. Because I love it. And then speaking about Fallout, there's even some things plot wise they repeat from the other movies there.
Mhm.
There's a
Mm.
whole thing where they have to do something at the exact same time, at the exact same moment. It's like, oh, that's like Fallout. Like that happens
Yeah,
in
you
Fallout.
just already.
Yeah, that's literally how Fallout ends.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's Fallout. Yeah, how Fallout is. Like, oh, you're just doing that again. Okay.
Shut up! He's on a biplane.
Yeah. Well, and also in Fallout, there was a big air sequence in there
Yeah,
because it was a
there's a big
helicopter.
air.
Shut up! He's underwater.
But a helicopter is different than a biplane.
It is,
Okay.
especially when you're trying to hang on for dear life.
Yeah, different aircraft. Okay, you got different aircraft in here in this one. But yeah, I think it is a nice goodbye to the franchise there if you are looking at that way. So for me, I'd give it a tune in
Mm.
for me. Good tune in. What about for you there, Nick?
Yeah, with as far as like being a satisfying conclusion to this like damn near 30-year long franchise with so many different movies, so many different directors coming in making their spins on it, and then Macquarie coming in and giving this a consistent tone basically from Rogue Nation on. And I feel like that's when the movies really started to find their voice. And with this one, I feel like so much of the movie's hype is built around what do we need to do to get to the next stunt, that you have a massive cast of great and phenomenal actors who are just kind of given like nothing to do, which is really I think a big letdown for this franchise, considering how well a lot of that was handled in previous entries, written and directed by Chris McQuarrie. I think as far as the stunts go, they are awesome. The entire like third act of this movie, basically from the submarine set piece on, I was on the edge of my seat, barely like I was like I was like holding my breath that entire set piece on the submarine. But this movie pushes the edge of your suspension of disbelief like no other entry in the franchise. I feel like this is a tune-in movie. It's like it has a fucking this is cinema level of stunts that deserve to be seen on the big screen and should be for like the best effect, but it has a screenplay that's like a stream it.
Mm.
It's like
Uh,
A+ stunts, but C- screenplay. But I still had a good enough time with this, and I was satisfied by the end of this movie to give it a strong tune in.
Hunter said, "Did you all like this or No Time to Die more in terms of finale?" I like No Time to Die.
I think No Time to Die is like, as far as like ending an era of a franchise, I think No Time to Die does it better.
Yeah, No
I'm
Time
gonna
to
disagree with you all on that,
Fair enough.
but
Die.
uh, this movie is A+ stunts, and while it's nice to see everybody come back, I have to agree a lot on what Nick said. It's A+ stunts, C- screenplay, and it kind of equalizes down to just a solid tune in. This was made to be seen in the theaters, regardless how we feel about the plot, regardless how we feel about the characters. They could have done more with that. They could have done wrapping up stuff, especially what they do at the ending, at the last minute stuff. You're just like, what? You could have done so much more with this. But at the end of the day, this might be the last time we see something like this in theaters.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, Tom Cruise is like in his 60s. I know doing all these
Man's
stunts cannot be easy on your
No,
body.
not at all. Especially the decades he's been doing this, and he's been running his entire life. That man has been sprinting in every single movie he's ever been in.
It's like, and that's something in this movie, because the distances that he is sprinting, especially like in the opening of this movie, I feel like okay, I get it. You kind of have to do the sprinting because it's like such a trademark of Tom Cruise and this
Yeah.
franchise, but sure you couldn't have just stolen a car. I feel like you would have gotten there quicker.
It's
No,
part of the contract.
who needs Uber
That's
when you
part
got
of it.
Tom Cruise? You just hop on Tom Cruise, call Tom Cruise, and
You
he'll
do.
take he'll take you there.
He's the
Yeah,
best Uber service of all time.
yeah. Just call up a
He's
Tom
like a
Cruise.
he's like a Mayan letter messenger. He'll get to you in one day. He'll
Yeah.
cross all across South America. He'll get you your letter in a single day. The man's a legend.
But so for you, thus it'll be a tune in. It
Mhm.
balances out for you, just a solid tune in. Is that what you said there, Dust? Yeah, solid tune in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Okay. And is which is your favorite Mission Impossible movie? Yeah, is it Fallout or?
I actually have a really big soft spot for Coast Protocol.
Mm.
That
Okay.
underwater
Yeah,
scene,
go.
especially with
Yeah,
Simon Pegg, is so good.
yeah, Ghost Protocol is kind of amazing, and that was like the first time I remember walking out of a movie theater of a Mission Impossible
Mhm.
movie and saying like, Jesus Christ, that
Yeah.
was amazing. I need to see the next one. I need to see that movie again.
Yeah.
But as far as like my favorite Mission Impossible movie, I have a really big soft spot for Rogue Nation. I feel like
Hmm.
that's the first one where b- the first one since Philip Seymour Hoffman where it felt like they had a great villain and a good foil for Ethan
That's
Hunt.
fair. That's
Mm,
fair.
yeah. Yeah. So tune ins all around for Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Yeah. Hunter from Rip Out said, I'm kind of right there with Dust. Fallout is the default answer, but I saw Ghost Protocol in IMAX and that shit ruled there. And is the worst one Mission Impossible 2 for you all?
Mm, it's the black sheep for many good reasons. I love John Woo. I love the
Mhm.
man, but that was when he was really trying to break it into Hollywood, and he just let himself fly. Those doves were flying every scene. Those
Yeah,
doves came out. I was
I
surprised that doves didn't fly out every bullet shot. There weren't doves just flying
yeah,
instead of blood.
yeah, I'm rewatching all the Mission Impossible movies right now. I think I just finished Ghost Protocol yesterday on my recent rewatch, and I don't think there's a bad one, but I still think the weakest is Mission Impossible 2. If nothing else, because I don't think Woo's style uh really fits kind of a spy franchise like Mission Impossible.
Mm. But I do like the diversity of the directors they've had,
Mhm.
different people
Or at least, they intended to have when this franchise got kicked off.
Yeah, John. It was Brian De Palma, then John Woo, there, then J.J. Abrams. Yeah, so a little bit of a yeah, different tone there. So yeah, that's what our thoughts on the Final Reckoning there. Uh, Hunter said, "My hot take: I'll dig MI2 Dead Reckoning. I just think is just meh."
Mhm.
Okay, wrong as always, Hunter. But thank you for your input. Um,
Yeah, I'm not crazy about about Dead Reckoning really either, but I haven't watched it since I first saw it in theaters.
yeah.
My opinion might change.